Come out to the coast. We'll get together, have a few laughs.
Hey guys, what is going on? Chris here with Shughead Gaming, bringing you my review for Intruders Hide and Seek, developed by Tessera Studios and releasing on PSVR this February 13th, 2019 for an estimated price of $20. Of course, that depends on your region. As always, this was reviewed on a PS4 Pro. Intruders Hide and Seek is a first-person stealth game and an intense thriller, combining intense psychological horror from the point of view of a defenseless boy. Intruders Hide and Seek puts a new spin on the survival horror genre, but does it succeed? Let's find out. As always guys, if you like this video, please hit that like button, and if you'd like to see more PSVR content from me, please consider subscribing, and for video updates, hit that bell icon. And remember, if you want more PSVR news and info, check Shughead Gaming out on Twitter and Facebook. As always, let's kick this review off with a look at graphics. With its cartoon meets oil painting visual style, Intruders Hide and Seek brings to mind the visuals found in the Telltale games, except with a more washed out color palette. Going into Intruders, I was admittedly not expecting this design choice to work very well, but fortunately Tessera Studios nails the landing. Most of the time. Aliasing issues do pop up from time to time, giving certain objects jagged edges and at times others taking on an almost shimmering effect. That being said, these issues are not a consistent issue, and for the most part, textures are sharp in the headset and especially effective when hiding inside cabinets or crawling through air ducts. Hide and Seek easily brings to the table one of the more successful attempts at realizing a real-life house in VR. With the house mostly draped in the darkness of night and lit with only your own flashlight and those of the three enemies, Intruders Hide and Seek is able to hide any outlying visual discrepancies and truly delivers a very effective and tense world. And speaking of lighting, this is one point where Intruders really shines. Even with some unrealistic light sources being portrayed, the overall effect delivered here is at times incredible, and while managing to never make the game frustratingly dark, it is easily this game's biggest asset in creating this desired atmosphere. Sneaking through the dark hallways looking for an enemy's flashlight beams as I sparingly used my own was downright tense and especially effective because of the intimacy VR provides to the whole situation. Character animations, on the other hand, are definitely not a strong point for Intruders Hide and Seek. Some characters fare better than others, but on the whole, characters are wooden in their movements and with facial animations that at times make Mass Effect Andromeda's look like they were made by the Avatar motion cap team. Finally, special mention goes to the fantastic use of scale used in Intruders Hide and Seek. As a small boy, everything in this world is just a little bit higher, a little bit bigger, and of course a lot more intimidating. The effect is just subtle enough to be unsettling and is especially powerful in VR as you actually feel the scale in a real-world sense, truly creating the immersion that you are very small in a much bigger world, creating a sense of vulnerability that I don't think I've ever quite felt in a game before. Sound is up next. The sound package in Intruders Hide and Seek is all over the place in regards to quality and execution. First off, the voice acting ranges from bad.
If you're going to the drugstore in town, would you mind if I went with you? I can go and play with Pete and Ronald.
Ben, when I go into town, I'll have a lot of things to do. I won't be able to take you here and there.
But Dad...
To atrocious.
Paul, he's gonna kill you!
No. Shoot yourself.
Leave him alone! Help! He's going to kill him! Somebody help him!
And admittedly ruins many, if not most, opportunities for the game to really sell its premise and character motivations as well. This is made all the more irritating, for characters often take awkward pauses between sentences, like they literally forgot their lines. In addition, spatial audio voices in the 3D audio mix is sporadic at best, with it often being very difficult to place not just the directions of voices, but distances or even what floor they're on. This issue is made all the more irritating as the game often nails the positional sounds of the intruder's footsteps and of that of your own movement. Ambient effects are also very well done at times, with the sound of the outside storm sounding nothing less than spectacular as it pummels the roof and windows. Besides the menu and some ambient sounds, music is wisely absent, helping to ground your situation in reality and not a part of some thriller on TV. All in all, the audio mix is a cluttered affair of varying quality that succeeds more than it fails, but only barely, providing more than a few huge missed opportunities to really sell this game's premise and atmosphere in the process. And that brings us to gameplay. As Intruders Hide and Seek starts its first act, you find yourself as Ben, a 13-year-old boy sitting in the back of the family car with your mom, dad, and your little sister. Acting as a snapshot of Ben's family life, you come to overhear some conversations from between your parents that not only sheds light on the family dynamic, but also hints at some major plot points in the process. Taking its time to show you Ben's world from his point of view is not only very effective in creating the much needed immersion for the horror ahead, but also acts as a slick way to lay out the narrative and dump some exposition. No sooner was I learning the controls and the layout of the house when all of a sudden I found myself sneaking around the house and attempting to save my family from 3 sinister burglars. Similar to games such as Outlast or Alien Isolation, Intruders Hide and Seek has you running and hiding from enemies instead of engaging in any sort of combat. I've actually never been a fan of this defenseless hide and run genre of games. However, I will admit in VR, the premise of living out one of my biggest fears as a kid was intriguing, and with a few exceptions here and there, Intruders Hide and Seek is executed very well. Over the course of the 8 chapters in the campaign, you will spend the majority of time running, crouching, and hiding as you attempt to avoid detection, while you not only try to figure out what these intruders want with your family, but to also save the day. Controls are handled by the DS4 and are implemented perfectly. Walking and running speed was on point, and navigation around the house was easily as polished as it was in Resident Evil 7. Armed with only a flashlight and 2-way radio, the bulk of your time will be spent sneaking around the house and hiding from detection in nearby cabinets, or really anything you can fit inside. It should be noted that the execution of hide and seek in this game is for the most part done expertly, putting the craptastic attempt of it by Home Sweet Home to shame. That's not to say it's perfect. The 3 intruders definitely have a pattern that you can learn and avoid, and at times completely zoning out and staring at walls. In addition, detection by enemies seems to be situation specific, with at times enemies hearing and seeing even the slightest movement one moment and then going full Ray Charles the next. This makes for some uneven sneaking moments, as you are always unsure how forgiving the game will be from one moment to the next. Intruders Hide and Seek will be played seated and with only a minimum amount of room being required. As this game has full locomotion and smooth turning, this could be a bit difficult for those who suffer from motion sickness, so fortunately in the settings you will find click turning and field of view options to help. And finally, that brings us to fun factor and my final review. While a bit on the short side at 3 hours, Intruders Hide and Seek doesn't overstay its welcome and pad the game with useless make-work missions. This is a tightly told narrative that, despite its shortcomings, is actually quite successful in creating a tense and immersive experience. This can also be played in standard flat format, but honestly, outside of VR, this game really just doesn't work to nearly the same degree. As such, make sure you are buying this for the VR version. As you know, I hate rating scales and instead rate games on the basis of buy, wait for a sale, or burn it to the ground. This game isn't perfect, and its indie roots and lower budget can be felt in certain aspects of the game. However, for fans of horror and thriller VR games, this game does a lot well to justify the $20 asking price. Non-horror fans may not be able to overlook the game's creep factor or technical shortcomings, so know what category you fall into before pressing that buy button. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you'd like to see more PSVR content from me, please consider subscribing. And for video updates, hit that bell icon. I'll catch you guys on my next video.